What is going on? Welcome to SpaceWIndu Spacecast with FET263 and Jedi Arms Dealer. What's going on, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Going pretty good. We are talking about the Proffie again because I'm still working on the same exact Proffie Saber I was working on the last time we talked with FET and with Jedi Arms Dealer. What's going on, Melissa's World? Melissa's World says hello.
Cool. Hey, Melissa.
Yeah, like the problem I was having with we were just talking a little bit before we started, and I told FET I would tell him when I told everybody what was going on with the lightsaber I was working on with the Proffieboard, is that I'm basically trying to do 2 speakers and a rumble motor, and we think that that's probably like where I run into a little bit of trouble when just on certain like effects and things like that. Like one thing it seems to do it on is retraction and sometimes the blaster effects. So Tom Megtooth Sith was in here the other day on the last show saying that there's certain coding that you got to put in to accommodate like the rumble motor, even certain basically what we come to learn is like we need a certain blade style or Jedi Arms Dealer. How do you say it with the is it a blade style or blade number 2? Like what's that called in the Proffie thing?
Oh, a second blade setup?
Second blade setup. Yeah, we need to set it up as like a second blade when we're doing the vibe motor. So we kind of started doing that a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
You know, I went through and like, you know, the all the stuff that we set up through FET's blade styles the last time. What I'm doing is I'm just starting with a fresh sheet as far as the provided code for those 2, number 1, number 2 blade, number 2 blade being a LED setup instead of a Neopixel, which is supposed to handle the current, I guess, or the just handle the vibe motor like better, like the way it's intended, rather than the Neopixel setup is not really, you know, excuse the pun, it's not really vibing, you know, it's not really vibing with that. So I was just in the middle of kind of taking the stuff that FET gave us last time with all the blade styles and move them over to this new slate, you know, which seems to be good so far. Like up on the screen, we've been getting some positive, you know, 100%, whatever you call it, like verifications on the setup. Like, and I'm on number 2, the font number 2. We did put the style code in. Let me share that screen. I could show you guys the text screen for the new coding that I'm using. So the first 2, I got some of the styles in. I'm not sure, is that first one still an old style, or did I convert them all? I can't remember.
That looks like the previous version with the in-out.
Maybe I should update that.
I mean,
that was looking so cool.
Is it though? Because I thought the original ones were super short codes. No. Oh, maybe FET's looking at the black and white code.
Yeah, hang on. So that first one, ESPG. Okay. I mean, it's that's an older. Yeah, that's an old localized lockup. So that's going to be a little less efficient, but
that's the one for the rumble motor. It's just a black and white on-off thing that I experimented with so that I could have total control over the motor. We're gonna see if that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, white would be 100%, and black would be 0% in terms of the power.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what we're figuring out in this session is like Tom was saying, if you put the rumble motor on either pad 4, 5, or 6, you should be able to gain control of the motor and actually change its intensity by using either red or red and yellow, which would alter, what not the voltage, but the current going through the motor, right?
Yeah.
Speed it up, slow it down. With my testing, and I don't know if it's like a pulse width modulation thing or something, but with my testing, I could not get it to work with any other color other than black and white only. So all on, all off. So I don't know if that's maybe the way the Proffie sees the rumble motor, as like not necessarily like an LED, but it sees it more as like, a magnetically driven device.
Well, it's probably, I'm guessing because I obviously never used a motor, but it's probably also the blade config that you chose. Okay. So if you have a blade config for one of the colored LEDs, then it probably, we might end up having to ask Frederick for some deeper info. But if you talk to Tom already, he probably has some of that info too.
Oh, crap.
You're missing a closing bracket.
Oh, okay. That should be simple.
So Fernando, in the configurator that we selected as the first blade, just your WS2811 Neopixel blade. And then for the second blade, we did a LED star dual, kind of like you're going to do a Darth Maul, but one blade's going to be Neopixel, the other one's going to be Tri-Cree.
Okay.
And then in the wiring diagram, it shows exactly what everyone kind of discussed, I believe, on the thread about rumble motors.
Okay, then most likely the red and the blue and the green just aren't putting enough power in for it. That might also have to do with the motor itself.
Yeah, maybe it's not enough voltage.
The motor might require a certain current just to get itself up.
Oh, maybe because then white is full on. Interesting.
That's white is what it can send through that pad. So
yeah, it's like the straight whatever 3.84 volts. Okay, interesting.
Greetings, exalted ones.
Haven't done motors.
Darth Plagueis the Wise is here.
Nice.
Welcome.
Hey.
Chris Boyd is here. Question: do you think CFX is good or Profi is better, and would a straight powder-coated black chrome Genesis custom Ascend Saber look good, or should it be dual-toned? I think black chromed would look awesome. I think any Genesis custom Saber Ascend I think would look awesome. What do you guys think?
I love black chrome. I got it all.
I'm a chrome and black myself also.
But as far as
and for Profi or CFX, I mean, I think it depends what you're.
It's going to be what you want to get out of it. I am opinionated one direction for obvious reasons, but at the end of the day, because I get that question a lot. I don't know why, but I get a question a lot about CFX. If what you're looking for in your Saber can be done with CFX, go for it. If what you're looking for is from my channel right now, CFX can't do it. So that's pretty much the answer I give everybody who asks me. But I am opinionated one way.
That's a good answer. I like it.
I liked the way the Profi comes in these new colors now with there's white and blue and red. I actually already got mine. I was talking about it the last time we ordered. I think Jedi Arms Dealer got a red and a white, and Tom said I think he got a red and a white, and I got two whites because I thought they looked like silver. So I want to put them near like silver parts, and maybe it kind of looks like it's part of the metal chassis or something
built into it.
Yeah, that's kind of neat. Some of the CFX, I think one of the CFXs I got, or are they all kind of dark, or are some green and some like black? I don't know if the color matters to you. I also think the Profi is smaller. If your space is like super duper tight, Proffie is like that new 2.2 dimensions were slenderer than the crystal focus.
I think they're both banging boards, but it's like you guys said, wherever you want to go with it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's what you want to get out of it and how you want. The other one is how you want to use it. So that's the one that for myself, when I get questions on Profi, is it's different. If you're used to those kind of plug and play and maybe edit a little text file on your SD card and go forward, coming over to Profi, it's a very different thing. And there is a learning curve, but as you guys even have been experiencing over these few videos, once you get that first one, it's pretty much going forward pretty easy. You get an error every once in a while, but if you put if you're missing a value in a text file on the SD card, you're going to get an error too. So it's all how you want to do it. But a lot of times when we get the questions, even new people to open source, they hear it's like you have to do this heavy programming or you have to be a programmer, and that's not true. If you can do that, you can go that way, but you don't have to do that. But it's a different way to do things. You have to take some additional steps. You've got to read that manual and follow it, and you got to be ready to ask questions to the group or to people who can help you, versus something that out of the box, you just make a couple little numeric changes in a text file and go. So you got to play that. You got to figure that yourself. What kind of person are you? Are you really just don't want to be bothered and just go forward with the Saber? Then those CFX and those other boards that are the closed source are the way to go. If you're willing to put in just a little extra work and learn a little bit more, but get a lot more of these advancing kind of cutting edge things, then the Profi would be my recommendation.
That's a great way to say it.
Yeah. Agreed.
I also think once you get the board set up, like, well, this is what I'm hoping is that once I get the board set up the way I want, that, you don't have to touch it anymore if you don't want to, right? It's like if everything is set up the way you like it, it could be years that you don't really have to, upgrade it or anything, as long as, no hardware changes in the Saber or anything like that. It kind of just seems like if you want to use that config, like in another Profi Saber, I'm learning that won't necessarily align, because like we're setting up our Profi Saber right now to work with the specific like hardware inside the Saber. Like Jedi Arms Dealer and myself have gone back and forth trying to change a couple settings here and there. Like one change he made for me, which was at the top there, what we changed a 1 to a 3. What was that? The clash threshold seemed to take away like 70% of my problems, maybe more. Yeah. And that, because I have that rumble motor and the 2 speakers, so we kind of think that was part of it, right?
Yeah, speaker, chassis, hilt, resonance, all that affects clash a lot, and proximity to the speaker. So I have a few hilts where the speaker is literally right up against the board, and if I pump the volume up really high, I got to set that clash threshold a lot higher, because every little increase in bass will shake the board and it reacts. If you set that threshold up, you don't have that issue. Whereas if you have like your board on one end and your speaker on the absolute other end, that probably doesn't come into play.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, Fernando, when the Profi out of the box, what are pads 4, 5, and 6 programmed to do out of the box?
Well, out of the box, it depends where you're getting it from. Some of them are programmed, some of them aren't. So it depends on. So some of them are just blank boards waiting for you to flash it. Right. I think the default that I'm guessing here, Saber Armory probably puts out is a single blade, which would mean that it really only uses the first few pads. It's got a single style, and it's probably set up for Neopixel. But that's a guess. I actually don't remember, because as soon as I get my boards, I flash them with my configs. I never look at them. You can use your styles over. The differences would be like I have a lot of single blade sabers, and except for maybe that clash threshold and also like the order of the presets, I pretty much I build all my blades the same length. I set up my buttons all the same way, and I use the same configs over and over again. I just change up the order of the presets. But if you've got one saber that has like a crystal chamber and LED accents, or like yours with a rumble motor, and then you go to just a single saber with just one blade, then you can't just take that and drop it in. They have to be physically the same in terms of what's there, but the styles would just copy over and over.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess the better question would have been if you just select a single Neopixel blade in the configurator. I wonder what that does to pads 4, 5, and 6.
They're ignored. They don't have any definition, so they just don't do anything.
Well, but Space and I have figured out they're doing something. We just don't know what it is yet. Because it'll run the rumble motor, but we just don't know, like, you know.
It's sending power to them? Huh.
Yeah, like it's like running the rumble motor like the way I kind of want, to be honest. But what Jedi Arms Dealer thinks should happen, or he has methods of making the rumble motor turn on and off at certain times. So what we're hoping with this coding is that now we put in a code to not only treat the rumble motor as a second blade, but treat it as a tri-creep or a star LED blade. And not only that, but to turn on and off like when we want, rather than whatever the pre-programming was from, maybe like you said, Saber Armory. It may have been where I got this board.
Okay, so maybe, you know what it is, 4, 5, and 6 might be defaulted to just be accent LEDs, which just means power all the time.
That's what I think I read in the manual, which it was like, if you did nothing, it would like kind of send it. Okay. It would send power to it like it thought it was an accent LED. So when like that when I read that combined with what Jedi Arms Dealer was kind of coaching me along the way when I was building the Saber, that I was like, okay, those things sound like they'll work together fine. You know, I was like, that sounds like it'll work. But I think that on the retraction, on certain effects, it's like too much pull for the two speakers, because it doesn't happen when we're only dealing with the one speaker, but only when I screw on the second speaker, we have this issue. Yeah.
You're not getting enough current, maybe.
No, maybe that's what it is.
Maybe because the amplifier would be pulling more. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, that I'm not so sure on. The electronics, actual physical electronic side, I could solder and I could put my boards together, and that's where my knowledge ends. And then I go to the manual and I have to read the diagram to figure stuff out. But I'm trying to pull the manual up now, actually, because I've only got one Saber with LED with accents on it, but I use Neopixels and I purposely program them. I've never just hooked up an accent LED to the pads to know. So it sounds like what you're experiencing, that maybe it just sends power to those pads all the time if they're not programmed, which
yeah, and I think like on the retraction it's like too much. So like to have the speakers going and to have the vibe there, and then to have the Neopixels coming down and all that, I think the way Jedi Arms Dealer is set it up for me here is that, like, you know, it won't be on during that time. So maybe, you know, or we can control that, so we don't have to have it on when it's like retracting. Like, turn that off, let the other parts do their job. Worst comes to worst, if we can't get through it with the software programming, I'll just disconnect something. You know what I mean? Like we kind of talked about, I don't know if we talked about that last time, but it was like we talked about it before on the phone, right? Right, Jedi Arms Dealer, we were just gonna like, okay, we'll just disconnect something if like worst comes to absolute worst.
Just to troubleshoot, just
make it more normal.
The rumble motor, or, you know, I don't know how you do that with each speaker, but you should be running at 6 ohms, which is in the pocket. So it is interesting.
Now, just as a test, have you ever pulled the volume level down just to see if it?
Well, it was at 1,000. I actually turned it up to 1,500. You know, I can adjust that however you guys think I should adjust. But I kind of thought at first, I was like, oh, maybe, because I thought it was working right. So I was like, it sounds kind of low for what I expected. So I turned it up to 1,500. Then I was like, oh, it sounds great. But now I'm experiencing these, or I'm hearing them at least, because I had the 2 speakers attached, that, you know, certain times I'll actually show you the example. You know, with the config the way it is right before we're ready to like put this new config there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of guessing, to be honest. It would be, but yeah, if you had the ability, if you set the blade style up like Tom was saying, and could have it only getting power for certain effects, that probably would solve a lot of your issues anyway.
Yeah.
And we could actually turn it on.
Sorry, I got a phone call on the iPad. I didn't know if it kicked me out.
It did kind of turn you off for a second.
I guess I'm still here.
But now you're still here. I was actually almost going to like bump you because I thought maybe you were trying to get back in another way or something.
Weird.
But yeah, so then what you guys are doing is probably the right way, because you could also then only have that motor come on for like a clash, a blast, a lockup. If you wanted it on ignition, if you didn't want it on ignition or retraction, we can actually pull that code out. So it's probably at least worth testing.
Yeah, did you so far so good on your aerospace?
Yeah, I'm on font 5 and everything's testing well. Oh, Melissa's World says I can't be up too late tonight. I have to go. Can you guys hear me?
I hear you.
Okay.
You can hear me?
I can hear you. Melissa's World says I can't be up too late tonight. I have to
I think
if you have to bump out, I can accept it back in when I see you come back in. Sometimes that happens. Plus there's like a storm going on here. I don't know.
Jump back in, Fernando. I'll be right back.
Sure.
I don't know if I think this hurricane slipped past Florida, but it's like trying to come up the coast or something like that, because I hear winds and rain and thunder and stuff going on out there.
Yeah, we're getting in Carolina soon, I think.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I didn't look at the news today. I didn't know where it was supposed to like slam into, but my parents are in Florida. Melissa's in Florida. I think it missed them, but maybe it's headed toward us somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think they know exactly where, but we've already been having same thing, wind and pretty heavy rain. So it's coming its way.
Yeah, it must be big if it covers half the United States.
Yeah.
Melissa's got to go to the Republic Medical Bay tomorrow for a checkup, but you'll watch as long as you can. Well, thank you. Cole Weathers, hi everyone. Thanks, Cole, for being here. Darth Plagueis the Wise, will there be an interface in the future for Proffieboards like Rice? Well, you have this USB cord, and you have Bluetooth, so you could connect through the USB like I'm about to do, and you could see me do it here. I'll upgrade the Lightsaber, or you could tap in through Bluetooth. If you guys know another way, let him know.
I'm not actually familiar with Rice. I've heard it. I think it's probably like a WYSIWYG for the Plector boards.
It's real-time interface. It's basically what the USB is doing here, I think.
You can, what the difference between it, just kind of high level, would be that with the CFX, everything that can run is already there on the board. With the Profi, you put what you want to run on the board through Arduino. So you could, like with the Bluetooth, the Force Sync app, you can make adjustments on the fly in real time if you have the Bluetooth module, but only to what exists on the board. So you would have had to have all your presets there already. What you're actually doing is you're actually creating a custom program that you then flash to the board every time you want to make the bigger changes, other than like color change and stuff. So they're kind of different mechanisms. So I don't know if there'd be something directly equivalent to Rice in terms of the real-time stuff. I tried to make the interfaces on my library very jargony, so you don't have to know what it's doing. You just pick what you want, type of thing. But you still have to put that in your config, like Space is doing, and load it to the board to go. So it's I think they're always going to be different, just because what you have to do to get each board to do what it wants is different.
Can you guys hear me okay now?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the only thing I'll add to that is Dimitri said when his pay version of the Force Sync app comes out, he claims he's going to be able to pull off, I think, full color, like color wheel change integration on the Force Sync app with Profi. Did you hear that too, Fernando?
Yeah, I knew you could change colors through that. The big thing is like the styles themselves. So the styles that you guys are now dealing in your config, that code doesn't exist on the board until you put it up. So like if you wanted to pick a fire blade for, and I'm guessing, again, I've never used CSX, but if you want to pick a fire blade for CFX, it's already there on the board. You just tell the board to use it. On Profi, if you've never loaded a fire blade up, you can't pick it because it's not there. So because it's, what Profi's doing is you're building, essentially your config file is like the menu of everything you want on your Saber. Anything not on that menu doesn't get on the board. So just because there's, I think my library alone, I think it ran over like 500,000 effect combinations. There's no way you're putting that all on the board. So it's, you have to pick what you want, put it on the board, and that's where that config file comes in. But yeah, the ForceSync app should be able to change colors, and I think you can like through the commands, I think you can like trigger like a blast, a clash, a lockup, all that stuff through that. But you couldn't change something that wasn't already on the board. So you'd be able to modify what's in there, but you couldn't add something new to it.
Yeah, it is nice because it's nice having the real-time volume control, even though you can do that with some button gestures now, but still it's cumbersome at times.
It's possible I might blink out, you guys, because like the power was flickering here, so I don't know how I'm still connected, but uh-oh, I did something wrong. I
think you ran out of memory. Slide to your right in the error message. I think you maxed out.
I know why, because it's like I ported over a bunch of these Profi things.
Pull that the POV style, the second to last style. That thing takes.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Take that out, you'll be fine. Yeah, I think it's the second to last preset. It's like style POV, and then whatever else you have in that preset, pull that one out. That's the guy. That one, it's awesome, but it takes up so much memory. Where are you? Yeah, Teensy SF, Tracks, Venus, style POV, one up or two up, right there. Yep.
Like from bracket to bracket?
No, there's two styles there. Right after it says POV in quotations, yeah, it's Teensy SF from that bracket in front. See the front bracket? See it says Teensy? Yeah, I'm pointing at the screen again, like you can see where I'm pointing. Yeah, right there, all the way to where almost one more line. Finish out right there, that comma. That's good. If you get rid of that, you should clear your memory fine.
Nice. I can't believe this is, you know, all the tricks. This is great.
Yeah, didn't last session when we were doing this live, we discovered it was like 14%.
It was more than I expected. Yeah, I knew it was a big file, but I haven't had it on my Sabers in forever. And just that much memory free up, I was like, oh, definitely get rid of it. Unless you're going to use it. If you want to use it, put it in there.
Solos Hold is here. Welcome. I want to have Solos Hold on the show about the new Sabers he's making. Well, I was just going to say something to Cole about this thing. Yeah, it's like when Cole was asking about about the Proffieboard. I think it was Cole. It's like it really helps to have, like you were saying, Fernando, the help, like the forums and stuff. But it helps to have friends like you guys that know what's going on. You could ask these people on the forums. They, you could put the pieces together. It's like Jedi Arms Dealer knows things, Tom knows things, like you put all the pieces together and you end up figuring it out at some point with their help.
Yeah, I would say just don't be afraid to ask questions. The open source group on Facebook and the TRA forum are probably the best. If you go on the TRA forum with a question, Frederick, the creator himself, will usually answer you. So you can kind of skip and go there, but a lot of the more, especially if it's your first time like dealing with a config or uploading, there's so many guys on the open source group who were where you are now only a little while ago. And they're now paying it forward with what they learned, helping the new people in. And then eventually somebody who just comes in today learns it, can pay it forward with the next group. So that's where I started not knowing any of it. And I got help from Tom, from Frederick, and a few other guys. And now I'm at the point where I'm able to help other people. So it's, as a community, the open source group to me is a great community just in itself. But if you're new to Profi and you have questions, don't be afraid to ask them. And the open source group is because you'll usually get more people answering quicker. Obviously, one person, Frederick in particular, on the TRA forum, it takes him a little longer to get to, but he gets to everybody and he helps everyone. So there's plenty of help out there. It's just you know, especially being a guy, like stop and ask for directions once in a while. You know, that's
Yeah.
it helps. It actually does help.
Yeah, the open source guys are super cool that way.
Yeah, that
Everybody
story
is,
that
really.
Fett just told is kind of like my experience, and I think, you know, all your guys' experience when you are just in the Saber community in general. It was like, oh, there we go, Fett. Thank you. Yep, that worked.
12%. Yeah.
Nice.
You know, that like at first I found myself asking a bunch of questions. It was almost the next thing I knew before I realized it. I was the one, you know, I mean, years went by. It was like before I realized it, but 7-8 years went by. That then people were asking me questions and I was able to answer their questions, you know?
Yeah. I mean, same thing. I think the very first time I tried to upload a config, I was just trying to change the color of my Saber. And I kept loading it and kept loading it, and I was just sitting there by myself trying to figure it out, because I thought I was pretty smart. I was like, I can figure this out. And it never changed the color. And so then I finally posted on the forum, and I said, hey, I know I'm doing this right. I know I'm doing this step, this step, this step. Here's what I'm getting. And then Frederick just said, well, did it say it completed? I said, well, yeah, count it to 10. And he said, no. Did it say it completed? I said, no. He said, then you didn't upload anything. He said, here's what you have to do. I did that. All of a sudden, my Saber changes color. I was like, I wasted all the time trying to just do it myself. And he answered the question, and 5 minutes later, I was where I needed to be. So, you know, obviously you want to figure it out yourself, but there's somebody who has that knowledge already. Asking them for that, there's no shame in that. So,
agreed. But you probably learned some cool stuff on that journey, though.
Oh yeah. Well, I was just going nuts. I was like, no, it says green. Why is the Saber still blue? What the hell's going on? And it kept saying 1 through 10. And I was like, cool, it's done. And but when I had chosen the port, so it wasn't uploading anything. But I didn't know that at the time, because I followed every other direction to the T. And just the very last step, I didn't realize what was actually supposed to be there. So
yeah.
Cole Weather says it took 2 to 3 hours of learning for me to use Fernando's library, but I'm not a big crystal chamber or accent LED person. Yeah, it's like Fett made it real easy to drop in these configs and to see the awesome blade effects. It's just, you know, I had to choose to do something difficult, or actually Mark chose it for me. Mark's here too. What's going on, Mark?
Hey, Mark.
I didn't realize it was difficult when I said, "Oh yeah, sure, 2 speakers and a vibe motor, no big deal." What's
funny is it takes 2 to 3 hours just to watch all of Fett's videos.
maybe longer.
Yeah, they're getting longer.
I like them though. I like them. They're very helpful. I don't think there'd be as many questions if I watched them all before. But you know, it's like the time. Like I plan to, but then I ask Fett to come on, and I plan to have them all watched, and then life happens, you know, things happen, and the next thing I know, it's like that day, and I didn't do all my research. I didn't read all the TRA stuff either.
Well, I mean, I forget myself sometimes, because I put out videos on stuff, and my assumption in my little world is that everybody who's ever watching one of my videos has seen them all. So I talk in videos as if everybody's seen stuff that I've already talked about, and then I get questions afterwards. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess if you didn't see that other video, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, like whenever like my non-Saber friends watch a video of mine and I go, so what do you think? They go, it's too technical.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think so. When I'm like making the video, I'm like, it doesn't seem, I don't know, that technical to me. But anyone like normal sees the video and they're like, too technical.
Yeah. That's a strange new language you've learned there. Like, really? That's funny.
Okay, I'm on number 9.
On a side note, Fernando, I was telling Space, Barbara and I were going through the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and when we finished watching the third one, that day you posted Sauron's Eye. I was like, that's cool.
Oh.
So that was awesome. Thanks, man.
Sure, you're welcome. Yeah, somebody had asked for it forever ago, and I had made one way back in like OS2, but it was just a flame blade, just colored like Sauron. And somebody said, "Hey, can we put like the eye in the middle?" And I just had it on a backlog of stuff. And then I was working on the one for the Millennium Falcon, the hyperspace effect.
Oof. I have that font.
Oh, I love the way that looks. I remember that video.
And the idea of that one was that the center of the blade is the viewport and everything comes at you this way. And once I started splitting the effect, I was like, wait a minute. If I split the effect already, I was like, if I just stick a black spot in the middle, that's the eye. So that it kind of just came from something else, and I had remembered. So
that's awesome. So I haven't seen that. Did you finish the Millennium Falcon one?
Oh yeah, that should have been probably before the. Again, I think
Sauron's Eye.
It should be before Sauron's Eye. It's going to be it's in the specialties on the library.
Oh, nice. So it's like a hyperspace stars flying at you kind of a thing. I got to go check that out right now.
There's actually a bunch. I built like a preon and a post-off to go with it, so that it starts off with a star field, and then when it bursts into the hyperspace full speed, and then when you retract, there's a post-off that'll actually slow it back down to the star field. So it was meant to be, if you hold your saber sideways, it's like the same effect as the window of the Falcon.
Nice. That's actually my screensaver. I'm all about some light speed.
Yeah, Jesse had put out that he was putting out that, he called it piece of junk, but the Millennium Falcon. And I was just thinking, I was like, it's like, I think we could do something for that. And I just tinkered with it and got that put together.
Melissa says the storm first started as a Category 1, then regressed to just a normal windy night, so it skipped all of Florida. Yeah, I kind of hear it outside. Like if I do disappear, I don't know I don't know if I'll be able to jump back on like sometimes happens. We'll see if the power comes back. Let's see what Mark says here about his Saber. I originally asked for Bluetooth on my build because the color change option was not a thing at the time. I thought I could use the Unity app to control the color in the Photon blade. Yeah, I guess you'll be able to do both, right? You'll be able to use the Bluetooth and change the color by however you...
Yeah, color change is built in now on the OS. But yeah, I think I'm pretty sure the app, I haven't used it, but I'm pretty sure the app can do the color change as well.
Yeah, I think I used the app for CF10, and I can't remember if I did it on the last Proffie I did. That was one thing we selected when Jedi Arms Dealer and I, right before the show started, we selected the what I'm calling the blank slate, like the information we need to populate the text file, and we selected Bluetooth, so that code is embedded in there, I guess.
Yeah. Unless there's been an update to Dimitri's Force Sync app, I don't believe it contains the free version. I don't believe still contains a color wheel for Profi.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, because
we probably
unless there's an update. Because I think he said Yeah, I think he said only the pay version was going to do that down the road. But I'm going to go look for an update. You got me curious. All right, so there's Eye of Sauron. Ghostbuster. What's it called, Fernando? The Millennium Falcon one?
I think it's hyperspace. I made it a while ago. I have to hang on. I'll find it for you. It should be under specialty blades. It's probably under the Infinity Gauntlet. Let me see.
Okay, maybe I'm not in specialty blades is the problem.
Yeah, Eye of Sauron will be fire. Specialty.
Oh, I see.
Bottom. Man, I got too many of these damn things, don't I? Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's right under Infinity Blast. If you go into specialty, it's hyperspace. It's called.
Okay, so what's weird is when I opened the page, it defaulted to. Oh, hang on, I'm going to close out of the splash page thing. You can do it, old Mac.
Oh, I made a mistake. Yes, I just got an error in something, but I realized what it is. Rich Sangillo says, just don't be dismayed by a bunch of people that tell you just to read the manual. Some people learn in different ways. Well, thank God for Fett's videos. You could learn visually through Fett's videos. I don't know, maybe Megtooth has those videos as well that you could check out for learning the Proffieboard. Yeah, so thank you to these guys for making these videos. Otherwise, you would have to learn via the manual. You have no choice. So yeah, there's probably other videos out there too, but the Fett and the Megatooth ones are the ones that I've watched. I like those. They show you how to use the Fett shows you how to use the editor for his blade style configure, and Megtooth shows you how to do the like the Profi updates and things like that.
Yeah, the manual is really helpful though, particularly for first time. Obviously, wiring diagrams, you're not going to get too many places, but also the very first time you're using Arduino. A lot of times when people have watched the videos only, the videos go by quickly and the user knows what they're doing. So there's sometimes even some of the best videos, some of the stuff that new people just don't know to look at is getting skipped. The manual has it written word for word, step for step, so that you can't miss something. So that's because some of the people who've just watched videos only, particularly that very first time you're uploading, a lot of them forget the port, which is what I did my first time as a user. And then if you actually read the manual, though, it's a step in there to make sure you do it. And that's just, it's a simple, easy thing, but the manual actually does it the best just because it's a list of steps in order versus somebody speaking. And, you know, especially if they already have it set up on their Arduino, the port's already there for them. They don't have to do anything. So that step doesn't get shown sometimes. And I see people miss that typically. And then they ask about it. And then we say, oh, just select port. And then it goes through for them. If you just look at the manual and follow it step by step, just your first time, I think it helps a lot too.
I also appreciate that there's like 2 different manuals. I think that helped me because before I watched any videos at all, I liked how there's certain things I didn't understand in one of the manuals, and I open up the one that like Dimitri made, and I would understand it, or I wouldn't understand something in that one, and I would understand it in like Frederick's manual. So I was happy that there was 2 ways that they said it. And I also found it helpful that I would look at like the teensy section too, like especially early on when like Profi was like fresh and the manual wasn't completely there, but the teensy manual was there. And it's basically the same stuff, like the same way to do things. It's like happened the same in the teensy, I think. It's just like the board got smaller, or the board got like more friendly for all us lightsaber people when he made the Proffieboard. But it's basically the same stuff that's like the teensy.
Yeah, and the OS runs on Teensy, so I think Megtooth Tom still has Teensies that he's got updated to the latest OS. So it's the OS is the basically. That's
awesome. That's all. Yeah, so that stuff didn't go out of style. You know, like you could still use it. Yeah. Whereas if you have an old board of another type of board, you can't really do anything yourself to upgrade it.
Yeah, I've got a Teensy here, and I've never soldered it up. I was always just like. That sandwich stuff looks like a lot of work. Well, I'll do it one day just for fun.
Yeah, when I was first looking at sabers, I wanted the effects that I saw on Megtooth's channel, and I started chatting with him about it. And at the time, Profi was on the horizon, and he said, "Well, he's like, you really need to wait until this board comes out."
Yeah.
Like I said, I can solder, but I'm not an electronics specialist. So I was waiting, and then they did that initial first run. And I got it, and I use it. I've seen the videos though of putting those 2 sandwich boards, and I was like, yeah, thank God I didn't have to do that because I never got into it. I was like, there's no way I ever would have accomplished that. The Profi was just so simple. Even the V1.5. I mean, the pads were a little small, but I had no problem wiring it up. But if I had to do with that sandwich board and all that little stuff, I probably would have never gotten here.
Yeah, and then if you mess anything up, you can't get the 2 boards apart. And
yeah,
I'm gonna wait a while on that deal.
Yeah, so that was good. It was good, solid advice, and it took a few months from when he had told me about it till it actually released, because he was doing the beta on it, so he knew a lot more about it. But the patience was worth it. So
we got Mundo here in the chat. Edmundo Cabrera. What's going on, Mundo? Made him a little custom graphic. That's for Mundo.
Nice. Oh, I was going to ask you, Space, the intro, What's that scene from? Where did you reverse the rain as like falling? And
it's Highlander 2, so it's
That's
like the
what I
quickening.
Yep.
So I kind of feel like
gotta
it's
be
like
Highlander.
it's kind of like a what I consider like a bright saber overload. You know, it's like it's too bright.
There can
It's
be
getting
only
electrocuted.
one. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, like, all right, I'm a little confused. I'm gonna have to pull up the screen here because like I'm at the end of this thing where it's like the battery level thing, and I'm wondering, before I was like thinking, okay, I'm just gonna put your code at the end of that too. Should I do that?
For the battery style?
Like
On it.
yeah, like for Jedi Arms Dealer, do you think I should put your black white, like for the vibration motor code there too, or do I not put it there?
No, because that's its own. You talking about the battery level indicator?
Yeah, like it'll be like the last thing in the font list, right? So I've got this one, that style things there. Yeah, so like let me delete.
Yeah, style charging. Yeah, it's the next line down is it.
Did you have it in your previous successful config? Did you leave it in space or did you take it out? I can't remember.
Before we didn't have successful thing
meant,
with that additional code.
Well, the one that you backed up on your desktop, does that have the blade level indicator in it? I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm gonna port over.
I think you deleted the wrong line unless you wanted that style gone.
Oh yeah, I wanted like I want the thing to end here.
Okay.
And then have the battery level indicator, which is, let me copy it from over here.
Yeah, I can see the two lines down from what you highlighted. It's the ampersand style charging. That's your battery level one. But you got a stray style in there now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, is it the black and white style space? Is that what happened?
Well, I'm leaving that for Aquaforce.
Right.
I think, right. I'm leaving that for Aquaforce. Now I'm going to insert that charging, how do you say, battery level style and charging thing from Mark's original config that was working. And then
to add a style with that for your motor. I think you actually had it. It looked like though before you deleted it, because you had the blade set black, which just means nothing happens.
Right.
So you might want to undo that last drop in and put that other one back, or we're gonna have to write out a black for you.
So you're saying you're getting an error now? Is that what's going on, Space?
No, the last time I checked was all good. But now I'm just trying to put in like the end of the code here.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's good. Above the smooth SMTH Jedi, that line, that style PTR, that's a carryover from the one you just wiped out. So that one's extra. Yeah.
Oh, I see what you said. Okay. So if I replace this with
what that is now, that bottom one that it says Smooth Jedi tracks Mars, that ampersand style charging, that's your charging style for your main blade. And the style normal PTR black 300 800, that's essentially just a black blade, so it's not going to do anything.
Right. So but it does show that one bolt that shows you the level, right, of the battery level.
Yeah. So the first one, the ampersand style charging, that's just that will show you that spot on the blade with the battery level. What you're doing for the second one is you don't want the motor to do anything while you're looking at that. So that's what that essentially is going to do.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, great. That's great. It did it for me. Okay, because that's what I was actually asking Jedi Arms Dealer before. I didn't say it in the right way, though. He didn't probably know what I was asking.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because you don't want the rumble motor to do anything when you're checking your blade level indicator.
Right. I don't know how to say these terms yet of all the stuff.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. Like I said, I see the code, so I was staring at the code and
like I know you're my like watchdog when it comes to like, is there something wrong with the code? Because before we started, when I was having something go wonky, and I was like, I know Fett would see it in the code if there's
the matrix.
Yeah, if I emailed this to him, he would know.
Oh yeah, that's what I was. Speaking of that, when Space was having that problem, like I don't know, a couple weeks ago, is there a limit on any of the wave files? Because we changed two things, so we don't know which thing fixed the problem Space was having. We found like a weird. Oh, I know what it was. There was one that was lock 01 and lock 02. Are you allowed multiple locks?
Yeah. Yep.
Is it unlimited still?
I mean, you're limited by. I mean, I don't think I have.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
5, but I mean, it would be so if it's a 2-digit. So if it's lock 01, then you'd run out at lock 99. Right.
You had a lock 01 and a lock 02 in there, and so what does it do when you hold lock? Does it chain them together, or does it just select a different lock?
It selects randomly. So anytime if you have blast 1, blast 2, blast 3, blast 4, each time you hit it, it's just randomly selecting from the list. They do have to be sequential. So I think there was an error at one point. I don't know if it was this, but somebody had an error where they had say blast 1, blast 3, blast 4. It has to be sequential. So you have to every number. If you skip a number, like some people don't like they have an ignition sound they don't like, they just delete it. If it's in the middle of a sequence and you delete it, you're going to get an error in the font directory because it needs to know it goes sequentially when it's indexing them and then randomly. So that would be the only thing, is making sure they're sequential. But yeah, you can have as many of the individual sounds as you can fit, and it's just randomly picking from them. What was strange is what fixed the problem, because he was getting error in font directory. That was happening on one font only. Yeah, so we took out lock 02, and then he also had like 35 clash sounds or something, and I was like, you might need to knock that down a little bit, and that seemed to fix it. It was most likely out of sequence. You might have had one number missing. Yeah, he took screenshots and I poured over them like over and over and over again. I couldn't find anything. Typically, the error font directory is one missing or two missing in sequence. There's other errors from that, but those are the ones that pop up like 90% of the time. Yeah, that's what I've found too. Interesting.
JAD, do you see at the bottom here that I've highlighted? This is what you sent me through email, right? Like this, which was provided by the config thing we got earlier. So we got the blank slate deal with the 2-blade, which I think this, I highlighted it and I changed it to what you sent me through the email, but I think it's actually the same exact thing, right? So it's like what Tom was calling us to do is actually provided if you do it right from the get. If you start, that's because it was also verified. Like it also just kind of verified everything. So I think I'm ready to actually pull the Saber over and try to get it into the Saber.
Well done, Space. That was some work.
Yeah, thank you guys. You guys stood by me during this trials and tribs.
So you basically left the bottom alone then from our original, right?
What do you mean by that?
Well, the where it says blade config blades, you haven't touched it, right?
From what we grabbed before, but this is different than the original one, right? But this is like already provided because we.
Yeah. So basically, you haven't copied any or pasted anything over what you have highlighted at the bottom, right?
Like I did, but then I went back. So let me show you. Like here it is.
No, as long as you went back, I just want to make sure.
Like because I just pasted it just there, but it looked the same to me. So then I was like, is it the same? And then I went back and I was like, it's the same. So that's what Tom was trying to tell. He was trying to send that to us, but I do believe that it actually wouldn't have worked unless we did start from the right place. You know, we had to start from. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I think you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, it should be identical because that's all I did when I sent you that was I went back to the configurator and I selected what you and I selected about an hour ago. So.
Oh yeah, Mundo. If Mundo's still there, I did send Mundo the link if he wants to come in here. He's like if I'm kind of a beginner, he's maybe a little bit more of a beginner than me. He's building his first Profi Saber. I'm on my second Profi Saber, so he's like right behind me with the whole Profi stuff. He could gain some knowledge by this, but let me show everybody what we're talking about because I don't know the words to use, but let me show you the place I go, the place that Fett knows about, JAD knows about, all you guys need to know about this place, which is the Proffieboard open source lightsaber controller. This is Frederick's website. Frederick made the Proffieboard. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, if I'm saying anything wrong. This is where you need to go first. And you know what? I'll put the link. I'll put the link in the chat here, and we'll put it in the description of the video too later for anybody that needs to get here. This is where you need to go almost first. Like you kind of need to get whatever the current upgrade is. Right now it's like 4.7 at the time we're recording this, but you'll need to get the to flash the board first. Then your next step will be to come here to this link. Put this in the chat, which is the where you're going to actually obtain your starter config. So you need to pick like down here in the in these drop downs, like what kind of situation do you want to have inside your lightsaber? Do you want to have a Neopixel? Do you want to have, it even has a 6-segment string blade selector there, which I'm going to need for my build that's coming up. And you could pick LED, you could pick what kind of buttons you have. Like I have Bluetooth, I pick Bluetooth. And then when you scroll down here, you'll actually get what you need to start with. What is it called? Config file cut and paste. It's called my_saber1, which is what you need to drop into your Profi config folder. And this is what the Arduino program is going to pull from. So this is the basis that you guys will need for your Proffieboard programming. And then from this, you can go to Fett's website. You could play with all his videos, play with all the blade styles by actually pasting them into the text file like I was doing over the course of the beginning of the show, right? So that's how you kind of get to where we got to today.
Yeah, and this is for the version V1.5 board.
Right.
If you have the 2.2, you would use the V5 configurator too.
Right.
There's just a few small differences, but there's a second page because nowadays most people are going to have the 2.2 boards. If you're like me, though, I've still got a bunch of 1.5s I use because a bunch.
Me too.
We got Mundo here. What's going on, Mundo?
Guys. It's going, man. It's going.
Good to see you.
How are you guys doing this evening?
Really good.
Good. Making progress, I hope. We're about to find out.
I think it's gonna work. I'm gonna grab the Saber and try this for real.
Okay, we're starting to look like the Brady Bunch. I like it.
There you go. The Star Wars Brady Bunch.
That's right.
Come on, let's keep it real now.
Because I had this thing working like I was saying, like probably more than 70%, maybe 80%. I was pretty darn happy until I tried to turn it off, and then things would go wonky, and I was like, oh, what happened? So maybe this ordeal kind of fixed this up.
I hope so.
That's kind of one nice thing that you could really fiddle with the software and not the hardware to try to fix your issues. That's a new one for me. I've never, before this whole thing where like Fernando came on and Jedi Arms Dealer came on and tried to help me a month or so ago. Before all this, I never thought you could do that. Like fix what seemed to be like hardware problems. Because let me tell you guys something. Like Gabe was here the other day, and he had the first Profi Saber that I encountered in real life. So he brought over a Profi Saber that I forgot if we put in the Profi or I think he sent it away and then they sent it back with the Profi in it. We were playing with it.
I think I saw
it's
that.
like, yeah. And he kept having to change the speaker because the speaker was obviously blown or something. So he would buy another speaker and then we put in the speaker. And then 2 days later, he's like, guys, something's wrong with the speaker, or almost immediately. You know what I think it is now, you guys?
3,000.
I think it's all these zeros and ones. It wasn't the speaker, probably. It was like we had to change that 1 to a 3, or we had to, right? Didn't we have to do something else?
Oh, you
like
think it's the clash threshold was too sensitive?
Yeah, like I don't know. Something was making the speaker just kind of like die, you know, halfway die. That sounds like a blown speaker. Let's buy another speaker and put it in. Maybe get that better one that costs $20 this time. Okay, put that in. Same thing. It's like now I'm starting to think nothing was wrong with that Saber. The Saber's in the drawer over here. You went and bought another Saber. But like the Saber's, and probably nothing's wrong with it. It's just like we got to change a number. That's what I was telling him yesterday. I said, you know, Jedi Arms dealer, FET, they got the answer. I think you just change something. You don't need to change the speaker every time. Maybe it's not that, you know.
If you're blowing the speaker every time, the volume might be too high.
Well, that was one of the first things we did, try to like lower that, and we kept I do. The way it sounded when it was happening was like what was happening here, and I'll show you guys. I'll go grab this, and you guys can kind of talk or whatever for a minute, because I have to tape it up before I seal it up.
And you know what's kind of funny that you're saying that, Space, is I found out that when I was wiring up my blade, and I couldn't figure out, because I had wired the board, and the board was what I believed it was perfectly wired, because I took hours and hours just to even do one wire on the board, and going back, reading, looking at all the diagrams, watching the videos, and I mean just back and forth with every little step that I've been doing. And believe it or not, I think I had found the problem to my blade, Space, which is the thing here itself, which is the blade side chip.
Oh, the blade side chip. Okay.
Well, here's the thing,
but I thought you
because
said you had the similar thing when you tried the SpaceWIndu blade plug chip on your hilt. It was doing it.
Exactly, it was. But here's the thing, is because when I'm using the multimeter, after putting in the 330 ohm, I'm not getting any reading whatsoever on it. And so I have to desolder everything, you know, use that solder braid and see what's going on with it. Because I finished the blade, and the blade was still, you know, just do the little quick light, and then it would turn off. I mean, it wouldn't do anything after that, right? Just a quick flash, and that's it, quick flash. But everything else on the board was working beautifully. The sound was awesome. The everything on the board except for the blade was working. You know, the clashes, the sounds, the changing of the sounds. You can hear that when I change to the next color, you can hear the little, you know, how it turns to the next color. But there was just no color in the blade. The blade was just not working. And so I said, okay, well, let me go back and see what's going on here. And so I started changing the wires up to the 22 gauge wires. I finally, you know, wired up the recharge port with the 22 gauge wires, and started working on getting the 22 gauge on here. But when I put that 330 ohm resistor on there, now I'm not getting any readings whatsoever. No continuity, no nothing. So maybe it's my resistor, maybe it's the chip, the blade chip itself, and I have to get a new one. But I'm checking into that and see what's going on with it before I do anything else.
Check the resistance on, because if you just use the continuity with the resistor in between, sometimes that doesn't actually make a noise. Check that there's resistance through there, then maybe the resistor's okay.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is because when I check the resistance on it, it's just still a zero. Oh,
it's not at all? Okay.
So it might be the resistor, it might be the chip itself. I'm not sure. So I'm gonna have to get another resistor and see if that might be the problem there. And again, like Space said, you know, I'm very new to this, very brand new to this, and so I'm learning. But as I learn, as I go, you know, each step that I do, I learn from, you know, how to do it a little bit better to the next step. But back and forth, back and forth. And I want to thank you guys, Fett, and Jedi Arms, you guys are awesome, man. And learning from you guys is an honor in itself,
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious, when you put Space's blade in your Saber, it worked?
No, actually, I'm building my own blade, but
Okay.
Space is gracious enough to walk me through steps and help me and all that good stuff.
Okay, so all you have then to work with right now is a blade you're building. You don't have like another blade to test it with yet?
Well, that's
Correct.
why I kind of sent him like the little chip that I make, because he could push it up to it and just see. And he was saying that whole thing wasn't lighting up either. So I was like, it's something in, maybe it's the emitter piece side. Or something with the data line, this like Neopixel stuff early on when I was learning about it. It was like when I had my wires crossed, Irv would tell me, like, listen, make them side by side. Don't cross the wires like positive, negative data. These are more, I don't know, they're pickier. Like it's not as, they want it the way they want it. And like that data has got to be free of any kind of buzziness or any kind of like obstruction or electrical signals, because it's a very delicate electrical signal that's happening there. And it's also like the positive and the data especially can't be too close sometimes. But I think that's part of the reason why Mundo moved to like the 22 gauge wire, because he wants to further isolate components and stuff like that.
Right. And because the manual specifically states the 22 gauge, so that's why I went specifically for that. But I went to the PTFE 22 gauge wire.
Sword of the Jedi is here. What's going on, Sword of the Jedi?
How you doing, Sword?
Are you using 22 gauge on the data? Is that what you changed to on the data wire? On your power wires.
Right, just on the power wires. The data line is 26.
Yeah, because data you can go, super skinny on that. That doesn't have to be beefy.
Yeah. So I got 30 gauge. I got 30 gauge on the switches, and I've got 30 gauge on the PLI. Excuse me.
Gotcha.
And
the battery and all the Neopixel stuff you have heavier, right?
Right. And the battery's got the 22 gauge now, along with the recharge port for that 22 gauge.
I had that my very first build. I did all 30 gauge, and I hooked up. And the speaker made the most horrific noise, and I was like, "What the hell?" And then I went back and I looked at the wiring diagram. I was like, oh, makes sense.
Well, here's the weird thing I did. Here's the weird thing I did everything with 26, and everything kind of worked pretty dang good, except for the blade. And so, but in learning different things and learning what's going on, reading the manual and listening to people such as yourselves, and I'm learning new aspects of what not to do, what to do, and how to correct things, and how to do certain things. And so with my journey, it's amazing how much I'm learning and trying to fix things on my own. I mean, I know I can have help, but I'm having help right here with you guys, just learning this stuff, talking to you guys, reading the manual, and so forth. And for somebody who's just barely able to do this stuff, it's amazing,
There's nothing better than being able to fix your own Saber.
And Mundo's walked into kind of the Saber world with like the, what we would probably consider like one of the more difficult electronics situations to walk into, which is like walk into the open source right away. Like forget he walked past everything else and walked right into open source, and he'll kind of be an expert at everything else if you could lick this. I think everything else will come easy.
it's funny because some people ask me, "You actually ran before you walked?" I mean, like, I'm always backwards. So it doesn't matter.
Well,
I'll go for the hardest.
My first build was the CG2, the core band, the cross guard, because I had asked.
Wow, that's complicated.
Oof.
Well, but I didn't know that, so I had asked Megtooth to make one, and he just wasn't taking them on at the time. And the reason I got into sabers was because I do Kylo, and I had the hilt, and I was like, I got to put electronics in this thing. So I started with that, and I had to bore out the side vents to 7/8 because they were like 3/4 and they didn't fit the plugs or anything. And I had I'm cutting metal with a grinder, like I'm doing all this heavy, and I'm like, man, sabers are a lot of work. And then I got the Graphics 2.5 kit, and it took me like 3 hours to put the thing together. So I started with probably the hardest thing too, and jumped in. But I didn't know it was hard when I was starting. I was like, I just want to put lights and sound in this thing.
Yeah.
It's one of the more difficult things to do.
That's actually really good news because, you know, if you could do it, then Mundo can do it, you know, and end up at a, you know, look where Fett ended up, like where he's making the styles for other people for their blades.
Yeah, man.
You know, who knows where it'll end up? You know, some people started with just playing with the lightsaber. Next thing they knew, they're making the fonts for people. You know,
Yeah.
you just never know like what you might do. Or like Mundo's actually been soldering those little like circuit cards, like kind of like Sloth Furnace. You know, makes those little circuit cards. So maybe something like that is what he might want to, you know, contribute to.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he makes these little circuit cards with the integrated buttons or something. People like that.
Yeah.
People, they don't have to
You
do
make
that.
my little buttons right here.
Touch control?
No, it's just the regular buttons. I think they're 3.5.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I see. Yeah.
0.7 millimeter.
Oh, well
Something
done.
like that. But see, I wanted it. I didn't want a very big buttons on there, and I wanted it to blend in with the circuit card.
Yeah.
And
that looks
so I thought it would be just the right height for it.
That does look good.
Yeah. Clean.
Darth Plagueis the Wise
backside.
says, "Oh yeah, those are like the tiny little buttons that I was dealing with in this one the other day. I did exactly what Jedi Arms Dealer said to do, which was I put a little glue on the back of the buttons once I placed the buttons back in, and then put like a plastic disc and epoxied the plastic disc as the backside, and then waited a day, and that's what I'm dealing with right now. But I still didn't set that button unit completely in. It's like the unit is tough now, but I don't trust it 100%. I figured I would get through this problem first. Darth Plagueis the Wise says, SpaceWIndu, on the topic of blades, how do I eliminate the shadowing on the blade? I have 2-strip RGB thick-walled blade that I built. Well, you're giving me the first clue as to why it might be difficult to remove some of the shadowing, which is that you have a thick-walled blade, which basically gives you the only the amount of diffusion that you could place inside of there. You have to imagine that it's like a 7/8 amount of room inside the blade, basically. Like a 7/8 thin wall is like the amount of room that you have to play with in there. What I suggest doing is using the skinny strips. So you use like the skinny strips, maybe use like Tom use the 7/8 inch blade foam to cover up those skinny strips, and then use some cellophane gift wrap to wrap it up a bunch of times, and then slide that into your thick wall tube. And then if you want to give a little more diffusion, you could also sand the tube. You know, but like the amount of space in there really matters because it's just the amount of diffusion you could shove in there. Right. Yeah. So if you've got like the thick strips, the wider strips, but you've got only amount of room as like a 7/8 blade would have. And I don't recommend, and Megtooth says the same thing. He doesn't recommend the thick walled or the thick strips inside like the amount of room that you'd have in like a 7/8. It kind of hurts the amount of diffusion you could add there, you know. So you probably want to replace them with skinny strips. The nice thing about it is if you don't have to waste it. You could make another blade that's maybe like a thin wall blade, or if you want to use like an enhanced color blade and try that out, slide that assembly into like an amber enhanced blade or something, so you could play with that. You know, like it would be a thin-walled blade. You could diffuse it more, and then go back to your thick-walled blade and diffuse it like you would a 7/8. And I think you'll fare better probably.
I'd probably be the same good idea for myself, because I've got the bigger LEDs on the strips.
Oh yeah, you have the like the thicker strips, which you could trim on one side, but get used to playing with the strips first, and then before you wreck any. I've wrecked some by cutting them.
Me too.
A little too close to the edge.
Yep.
Trying to push the limits of the shadowing. You're like, how far can I go?
Well, that's why, like, for right now, I got to make sure I get this blade going first, and then I can go for that next, step like that. One step at a time. First things first is get it working the way it should be working, and then go from there.
Yeah, I only tried to. Go ahead.
Says I don't personally build because of my blindness problem. 2200 acuity makes it hard to see the details. Yeah, leave this part up to Scarecrow, and maybe at some point you'll find your niche as far as like what you can do. I'm sure you can contribute something to the build, whether even if it's not the entire build. I'm sure there's something that you could do, like maybe you leather wrap some stuff like that. That you could form your own custom part to it. Doesn't have to be the whole thing. Darth Legacy wise, recently I learned about the fusion film that goes in between the foam and the inner wall. Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about, like with like the gift wrap. Or I actually ordered some. It starts with an L. It's a material. It's like a plasticky material. I'm gonna try that because it seems like it's like thicker than gift wrap, but it maybe diffuses better. I think it's called like Letraset foam, or I forget what it's called. Or a electrocyte plastic. I forget what it's called. It's what I need for a thick wall blade, specifically to eliminate that darkness that goes all the way up. Yeah, that darkness that you see is the two sides of the LED strip, and that's more visible because you don't have that much diffusion room in there. As far as like your cylinder inside the thick walled blade is less than your room inside a thin walled blade, and therefore those ends of the strip are close to the wall, and there's nothing you really foam can do about it. I think Jedi Arms Dealer and me were talking the other day about how we like the MR foam. Like if you don't want to rebuild your blade, maybe try to find on eBay. Sometimes it's only about $20, and they'll include the shipping sometimes, to get the MR foam from an MR lightsaber, because that shape is like, how would you describe that shape? It's like a lemon shape in there, right?
Exactly. It's like oblong, and then it like comes to a point on both sides, so it's thin on two sides of the foam.
So that might allow your thicker strip to kind of slide in there, and then that MR foam is dense, so you might get some refraction. The light might bounce around in there more, but still it's not going to be as good as if you just went with the thin strips, which are available now on various websites like Amazon and eBay and stuff like that. You could find the skinny strips, 35 LEDs on those, or what I think sort of the Jedi's about to say. My KR strips are coming tomorrow. I don't know if you guys ordered those. I got the KR strips. I don't know what I think of them yet, Clinton, because I haven't gotten mine yet. From the look of them, I think that they could be rad. The one thing I don't like about it is non-cuttable. That's what I don't like from what I see so far. And the fact that they're rigid, honest to God, me and Cal had problems with rigid strips from another maker, and we talked about it. So I'm pretty sure that he won't imbue his product with that same issue that we had in other rigid strips. So I'm sure it's going to be awesome. But yeah, we did have problems with like rigid strips from another maker. And I don't know. I didn't like that idea. I like flexible, but I think if Cal's making it, it means it's going to be a quality item. I ordered 4 of them, so I'm going to see how it works.
Yeah, I've got one coming. I don't have it yet. I'm excited to see what it does.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
I'm excited. I'm excited because I'm going to be watching what you guys do with it. So. That's exciting for me, you know, to see what you guys are going to be able to accomplish with those strips.
So I want to see if I could like replicate one of the issues I have. This is the lightsaber. That's Mark's lightsaber. We've been playing with this for a few months now, trying to just make it perfect, right? And it's a War Sabers from Russia. That's the hilt. I made some modifications and stuff to it recently. I put a new metal band at the bottom here to make give myself about 0.2 inch more that I needed for my speaker connection. This is what's kind of going on now. It sounds good on this font number 1, and then there's a couple points during the modes that it kind of breaks down, which I think we fixed tonight, but we'll have to just upload that. I'll do that in a minute once I kind of, I want anyone that's watching to kind of see what we mean, because I was just explaining what was happening. I want to show you guys what's happening. So this sounds awesome. This is font number 1. I didn't see any trouble with font number 1. I think until I hit the blasters. Maybe it was the blasters that gave me trouble. Let's see. No, that was good.
Clash.
The retraction is a problem on some of them. You'll see. Let's try the next one. Darth Maul. Okay, and Jedi Arms Dealer knows that we had trouble on almost all the functions before because of this. This whatever we did in the previous thing fixed a lot of it. This is Darth Maul. So far, so good. I think when I turn this one off, it's when it messes up. Oh, it's working right now. Let's try that.
Now it's gonna work, huh?
Now it's gonna work.
It's going to be the IT thing. Whenever your computer's broken and the IT action goes, all of a sudden working fine. It's like, no, I'm not making it up.
My dad used to work as IT, and he went to someone's house, but he had asked them first. He says, "Is the computer plugged in?" They said yes. He went to the house, and it wasn't plugged in.
Wow.
Count Dooku.
Count Dooku. It's operating properly right now. Let's see what happens on the next one.
Hello, the Jedi.
The good color yellow.
There we go. Okay. So I don't know if you could tell, but the sound just went out except for some static. Sometimes when I go, like I just went off, both speakers did kick back in again, but most of the time they won't. It'll just remain as like a static from speaker number 1, which is like the speaker in the choke. Let me go to the next font. Emperor was a big problem. And I think Tom was saying last time, Megtooth Sis was saying in the chat that it had to do with some of the colors that I'd selected. I didn't quite totally understand, but I think maybe we fixed the issue tonight. Let's see. This is still the old config. We'll upload the new config in a minute. Let's see if it still makes my issue. Yeah. So like, this Emperor font was like, it's kind of a problem the entire time.
And Solo.
This was one I almost thought that was perfect, and I was going to start copying it to the other configs, but then I heard something, I think on a blaster or on retraction, that went off. Oh yeah, like it was like, I think you could hear it on the blaster that it almost stops the speaker sometimes.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little hesitation.
Something, right? Second system.
And the whole time the motor's doing something, right?
Yeah, so it's like right now there's no motor. I turn on the Saber immediately. There'll be motor. So motor, and then I still feel it. And then when I turn it off, the motor's there the whole time on the retraction, and then it goes off when the blade goes off.
Okay. So yeah, I'm still wondering if the motor's maybe taking the, I don't know. It's
like the juice from it.
Something, yeah.
Oh, that's that like Build-A-Blade one that you have. It's so cool, right? The way it goes off.
Disassembly, yeah.
Yeah, disassemble. Oh, that's so awesome. So some of the fonts like seem to operate fine, and then some of them the speaker goes out for a second, and it's like, you know, it's a type of thing where, okay, we're almost there, you know. It's almost perfect. Vengeance. Okay. So that's what we're kind of dealing with, just like an intermittent speaker issue now, basically due to what we think is the vibe motor. I'm going to try these new settings now and see if we fix it.
Yeah, and what we can do too is if the retraction is still an issue, we can change that retraction time to 1. Mm-hmm. And what it'll do is that motor will turn off instantly before the sound even plays. So then you won't have that in the way.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, that's what I was telling Space. Is like once you wrap your head around everything the Profi can do, it's kind of weird to think. You start to feel like this is the first time ever I've had total control of every aspect of what my lightsaber, what I want it to do.
Everything.
It's wild. It's really wild.
What does Brian mean here? Brian Connor says, "What does serial monitor say when the problem happens?"
If you hook up to the serial monitor and have it active while that's going on, can you have the USB connected while you're doing it? Because it will say what effects are being triggered.
Oh, well, you see, the problem there is like I might need to get some like masking tape involved if I want to do that, because what happens is, I'll show you, is this when I remove the pommel, I take away a speaker, and so although everything is operable, I could plug in and be operable. It won't be the regular environment. It'll just be like one speaker, one rumble, which always works fine. It's only when I put on that second speaker that kind of there's a problem.
Yeah, and now, Fernando, we've swapped out the speaker to a different speaker, so we know that's not it.
Yeah. Well, the fact that one speaker versus 2, you already limited your variables down. I'm thinking my best guess is that it's just the power itself, is that motor's maybe taking too much of it to help the 2 speakers.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have the motor active less, maybe that'll help.
It's like the board fighting.
Yeah, I mean, you have X number of current going through the wires, and if something's greedier than the others, then somebody's going to come up short. So I would say,
yeah, it's like like you're saying. I see what you're saying. Like the motor's pulling from the amplifier at times.
Yeah,
maybe
the motor's just taking it all, and it's not leaving anything for everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Upload time.
It's gonna be interesting.
It's always a good feeling when you get a successful upload.
Yes.
So what are you working on now, Fernando? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that the first time that I actually uploaded the Arduino stuff, I did it successfully, which was a very good feeling.
Nice.
That's always the best feeling.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid of errors, because I still get errors every once in a while, because sometimes you're flying through something. Every once in a while, like my pinky will hit like a key accidentally, and I'll get an error message, and I'm like, and then I look, I'm like, when the hell did I put an M there? Like, what? How did that get there? So.
Yeah, well, that's when, like I said, one step at a time, figure it out, and just keep going back and forth till I get it. And I know who I can ask and who I can look up, and get help if I need it.
Yep.
It's just going to continue to be an amazing journey, for my first one, and then once I get that first one under my belt, go to the next one. So, in case you guys don't know, that my first build is for a friend of mine who passed away from brain cancer. So I'm doing this Saber in his honor, and it's even going to have his voice. It's been a couple of years, about almost 3 years, and I've had to learn a lot, soldering by myself, learning how to solder, learning how different wires, and I'm still learning, all kinds of stuff and getting stuff here and there that I need to work on the Sabers for. And again, with the graces of space helping me, when I had questions and stuff, I couldn't have gotten this far without him. And now you guys, I'm going to be able to go above what I've been able to do as far as FETs, blades, and what you guys accomplished, and seeing what you guys accomplished just makes this all much more better and more exciting for me, knowing that when I finish my friend's memory saber, it is going to be out of this world.
I love that. That's awesome. Are you on Facebook on the open source group?
Yes. You can look up Edmundo Cabrera III.
Oh, yeah. I've seen you on there. Yep.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, cool.
And so, yeah, every now and then I'll chime in and see what's going on and see if there's something that I can learn or look at, see what's new, what's going on, and so forth. But small steps pave the way for bigger accomplishments.
Agreed.
Yep.
Hey, Fed, I have one for the suggestion box. I don't know if you control any of the Arduino suggestions that come in, but my suggestion for the Arduino is that this text on the bottom, when everything's going well, should be green instead of orange.
That's true.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Red for when it's not going so well, and green when it's good.
That way I don't have to get like a half a heart attack when I see that orange come up.
I wonder if Arduino has a suggestions box. That's a good one.
Yeah.
You should bring her outside.
Tom Welter says, could I tune down the motor or run it at 50%? Well, I have it resistored and I have it at the correct like power requirements. I think what I think is going on is that the fact that I have too many. I have the rumble motor and 2 speakers, whereas I think if I had 1 speaker and the rumble motor, I'd be okay. Or if you had 2 speakers and no rumble motor, you'd be okay. But I think when you put all those things in there, it takes this fine tuning. What I hope just went through at 100%, did the trick, because the other tricks that we played on it seemed to help a lot. Really take it from like shutting off in my hand every minute to only barely detectable problems. So, this is like a really tiny vibe motor too. It's not one of the ones, I was actually looking for one to show you guys. I think this might've been my last one, but it's like the size of like your pinky fingernail. So it's not the one from like a beeper or a cell phone. That's that cylindrical vibrator. This is a very tiny disc-like vibrator, almost like an hearing aid battery, the size of a hearing aid battery. So I think it, and I put it real far away from everything else. So I put it, I did put it near the Neopixel emitter for the blade, but it's far away from the board. It's far away from the rest of the stuff. Oh, Brian says, my point is if extension and retraction make the sound, but nothing else, wondering if motion chip is timing out, which, yes, could be power deprivation.
I think he's referring to the serial monitor when he was suggesting having that hooked up too, because then you could see that as well.
I see.
See, and Space just answered a question that I had in my head was what is the rumble motor? And then as he was talking about it, I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, Brian also said you can change Arduino colors. I didn't even know that.
Change the Arduino colors. Oh, you mean like the screen, the screen display colors?
Oh,
cool. Wow, okay. I'm using like the rudimentary version 1.
That's the same one I use. So
Cool. That is good to know. I'm gonna make mine green.
yeah, learn something new every day.
SpaceWIndu green.
Oh, Chuck Alvarado is here. Welcome, Chuck. Thanks for
Chuck.
stopping by. Chuck has one Civilized Saber's photonic blade. He says, thanks for the feeds and the updates. I love the photon blades. Well, thank you, Chuck. I'm glad you're enjoying that blade. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was like a 36-inch long blade. Oh yeah. Tom Welter says it's the juice. I remember now. I had a Kylo with triple Neopixel setup, and I upped the battery. Yeah, I'm using the best battery that I could fit in here. If I could choose totally, I would have put the 26650 in, but I chose the best 18650 I could find. But Mark did say in a comment a minute ago, he said, you know what, if you have to make a sacrifice, you could take away the motor. So I think that would be a good choice if this thing doesn't work, or if we can't get it to work, because first of all, Mark needs his Saber in 2020. And second of all, I think the two speakers will provide some sort of feedback, like some sort of vibration feedback, even if it's going to be less than the motor does, because the motor I can actually feel it very quite nicely, but it will be something. Okay, let's see here.
Yeah, I guess you haven't really tried that part of the troubleshooting process yet, Space, where you temporarily desolder one wire on the vibe motor, right?
Yeah, like that was kind of going to be my next thing. If I couldn't solve this by software, I was going to just try to debug it like hardware wise by start disconnecting either the forward speaker and see if I still had my issue, or disconnecting the vibe and see if I still had my issue.
Yeah,
I'll be right back, guys.
The nice thing about you pasting in that black and white code I generated is that, I know for sure that your vibe motor is going to be reacting to all the different clash, blast, lockup now.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Okay. Yeah, Mark's got it right. He comments. He says, "Oh, geez, there's no room to have a bigger battery in there." Yeah, he's absolutely right. This is a tight saber. These war sabers. I've never come across a war saber before. Mark sent me this, but it's a lot like a saber forge. So if you know the size of like what you have to deal with a saber forge, and to be quite honest, the saber forges that I've worked on, they might look like they're a certain size, but on the inside, like a saber forge's wall of the hilt wall is like 0.25 inches. So what you end up inside is a cylinder that's the size of your finger and nothing else.
Is it 1 inch in there?
It's not even sometimes, like it's okay. Like it's the outer hilt is about the size of a V2 of a MHS V2, and then the inside there's so much metal to it that it actually gives you no room inside. I did a Saber Forge Imperial Knight with a string blade, and it was like really difficult. I had to play such a trick on it. You had no idea. I had to basically cut out a portion of the hilt wall, and I was going to use a shroud anyway, so I used my shroud to cover that, so I had all that extra room in there, if you know what I mean. I use that trick sometimes to get that extra room.
Like the board was sticking outside of the hilt, but you covered it with shrouds.
Right, like you just completely remove a part of the hilt body right off the side.
Wow.
And then you have that extra, whatever it is, like 0.1, which is maybe all you need.
That's dedication.
I've done that to fit batteries too, like to fit two batteries side by side that wouldn't normally fit side by side in an MHS. If you're going to put a shroud over it and you play your cards right, you could actually cut away two parts of the hilt body, push your batteries out side by side, if you know what I'm saying. So they bump out the side of the hilt, but then you're going to slide your shroud on it, and it just barely makes it.
Good old 7.4 volt days.
Yeah.
Yeah, like with this saber, I'm using a 26650, and that was recommended by Space, so I went ahead and went with an Orbtronic.
Yeah, it's like you eliminate so many problems. Like when you, like, for instance, a lot of your debugging and a lot of your like trying to figure out an issue always kind of ends up with you need a bigger battery. So it's like you might as well just start with that. If you can, just start with that. You'll eliminate 3 or 4 of those issues. They won't even creep up on you because your battery will be able to handle that.
And
then
go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, Space, and it just smacked me in the face that you're using a TriStar. So that's even more power consumption.
Like that's why, as you guys can tell, I'm taking the time to put the blade in every time we test, because it's not going to tell us the true story unless we have the blade in. I know it, because like the blade takes so much juice. So I know that it'd probably work no problem if I never tested the blade in there. I would send it to Mark. Hey, Mark, it works great in my hand. With no blade, it works perfect. But with the blade in,
I'd be curious to see if it's still doing it. Then you pull the blade out if it stops.
Right. And well, I think it did early on when I was doing my test like a couple weeks ago before I started getting into all these like little fixes.
Even with the second speaker installed though, and no blade.
Oh yeah. I can't recall if I had put the second speaker in.
Now, are you guys soldering your wires to your batteries, or are you using the battery holders?
This one has a battery holder, but mostly I'm just soldering my batteries myself.
Yeah, see, I've got mine right here. And I really didn't realize that you had to really scratch that surface in order to adhere it to the battery. Took me a couple of hours to figure that out.
Some of these batteries now, especially Orbtronic, is actually changing the metal in the top and bottom. So you can't solder as easily anymore. That was one of the, I had to actually stop buying those. I really liked the Orbtronic for a while, and the 26650s wasn't an issue, but it was the 18650s. They changed the top to steel, I think it was, and it was like you couldn't solder to it.
Really?
And I would try for hours. I thought the thing was going to blow up on me. It would get so hot. I'm like, it's got to be just more heat. I thought it was going to blow up. And me and Harris were pulling our hair out of our heads because we had 2 of these Orbtronics came in like a twin pack, and I couldn't solder to either one. And I'm going, what the hell's going on? JB Kuma from the Mad Science Workshop did a test and said they're steel ends. That's why you can't solder to it. I was like, oh, okay.
Gotta use a tack welder.
Yeah, so it took me several hours to get that, but then I saw where you would scratch the surface and get to that little sweet spot down, past all that little area, and then you could actually solder onto it. I'm like, okay, cool.
Darth Plagueis the Wise says, have you ever had Ethan Zimmer Labs on the show? I don't ever see him on the forums or Facebook pages, and it looks like he's doing his own thing, but his sabers look so good. I love Ethan Zimmer. I do want to have him on the show now that you say that, that's a great idea. I think I had him written in my little book as far as like, guests like I want to ask. I actually contacted Ethan 2 years ago, and I asked him if I could rob him of an idea that he had, and he said yes. I was so happy because it was a great idea. He had I don't know which saber he did it to, if it was a Count Dooku. I needed to do it to a Count Dooku, but he did it to some saber where he put an HDMI port and then like a male to a female, so that when you pulled the saber apart, it came apart cleanly, and you have all the connections you need in an HDMI port. It's beautiful, right? And so you can have like 24, like I don't know how many wires are in there. So to do this Count Dooku Neopixel build, which is like an Ultimate Works, I think it was, or 89 sabers, I can't remember which model this is. It's a Count Dooku chromed lightsaber that comes apart in the center. My customer wanted the forward button to light up. I mean, some of the things were asked for seem like really impossible to do a certain way, but using Ethan's idea with an HDMI plug that I could actually I was able to light up the forward button, which I'd never seen anyone else do even yet. And I was able to retain everything that my customer wanted, but he could pull it apart in the center, get access to the SD card and all that stuff. And it was just HDMI connection. So I do love Ethan, and he's really nice for letting me take that idea and use it in my build. I'm always
stuff
impressed
is
with stuff that he
fantastic.
does. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
have you guys seen the newest video he put out? I think it's Solo's Hold's Force Witch.
Oh, I want to
And
check that out. I saw the thumbnail pop up. I didn't click on it yet.
he's done a really good job of like kit bashing with metal printed chassis. It's really amazing looking.
Kit bashing? What's that?
Just taking like parts that don't normally go together and figuring out a way to stick different, because there's no chassis for that Saber yet. And so he's taken metal 3D printed chassis parts from Shapeways that don't normally go together and machining them to get them to stick together and go and like do like a rounded thing. And it's really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think we may have asked Fett a similar question to this last time, but Darth Plagueis asked before he heads off, what are your favorite Canon hilts? Fett, what did you say? Didn't we answer a similar question last time? But what are your favorite Canon hilts?
I mean, it's my Kylo is my favorite, so that's me. But I love Graflex. I've got the Qui-Gon and I've got the OB Episode 1 that are really nice. But my favorite is still going to be the Kylo.
Mm. Which is the Kylo that you consider the best one that you've held or seen? Like, is it?
I have the KR, and I'm halfway through the install. I've been doing work on my house and a bunch of other stuff, so it's still sitting over here, almost done.
That's a beautiful Saber.
Beautiful Saber.
Yeah.
But because I
got one.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, and it's the other thing though. I had it finished by the Proplicator, so it's so gorgeous that trying to put it together with my giant meat hooks is really hard because I don't want to scratch it. So it's taken me like super long because on my CG2, which is still my main Saber, that thing is like a tank. Like I could throw that at a car and not be worried about it. So that one was easy to build. This thing is so delicate. My hands aren't made for delicate work, so it's taking me some time. But I use my Kylo, the CG2, for events because I actually have two 21-700s in it. So it can run for several hours without. Because if you're at an event in costume, you really don't want to be changing those batteries out or having to recharge. So that one, I did a ton of like just work on it to make it work for what I needed. So that's always going to be my go-to. But the KR is just a gorgeous Saber. I mean, I did a lot of mods to make mine more accurate for the CG2. This one just out of the box is beautiful.
How about you, Mundo?
Mine, I would have to say it's half and half. It's half the Graflex and half the OB style, Obi-Wan Kenobi lightsaber.
Like Episode 4 really style?
Yeah. Actually,
like Episode 3 and Episode 4.
Yeah, Episode 4.
Like that style with the thin neck, or do you mean like the Phantom Menace one?
Yeah,
okay.
No, that thin neck. I like thin necks a lot.
you also building a Luke Skywalker saber for yourself, aren't you?
Eventually, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that I'm doing for my friend's memory saber is, I think, a little bit of half and half, but I'll show you here in just a second, just to get it.
How about you, Jedi Arms Dealer? What do you like as far as movie hilts?
Mundo said it as well. I'm all about the Obi-Wan A New Hope just because the history behind that saber just, I think, is the greatest. All the different parts that they had to track, or not even track down. I guess it was a bin of parts, there at Elstree Studios. And they just started bolting stuff together, old Mercedes parts. It's just, I love that about it. Like, it's just got all these weird vintage, things from, what was it, World War I grenade section. And, I love that about it. So that's hands down my favorite. I've been slowly, and it's crazy expensive, but trying to track down the different real parts for that thing, and it's just it's impossible. Goodness. Yeah, the only thing I've got so far is the only thing I have so far is the hot and cold hand wheels that were the pommel. I've got legitimate vintage versions of those.
Wow.
Tom Welter says 26650 are amazing. Yeah, I did a build like Fett has right now with two 21700s. I did a build that has two 26650s, and also it would run like a really long time, like a really long, like, and in my tests it didn't run out. I don't know how long it actually lasts because it just didn't run out of juice. I do like a single 26650 as well. Like, how do you guys find the 21700? Do you any singly?
No, most of my Hilts I do, because I mean I don't have a ton. I do the replaceable 18650s where it's just a hot swap.
You can pop it out, yeah.
I can just pop it out and charge it, because like the one that my son uses the most, like that way I've got a couple batteries always on the charger, and it's just really easy to access them. So most of mine now I do the replaceable 18650, but that one is obviously for events. Even trying to change the battery just is a little too difficult. So.
Oh, look who's here. Hex Sabers is here. Jeff,
Hey,
what's
how's it
going
going?
on? Fernando, what's
doing,
up,
Jeff?
Paul? Good to see you here.
Cool,
we
man.
appreciate you. Thanks for stopping in here. Cheetos
Busy
Born
night.
says, I started stripping the shrink wrap on batteries and soldered to the plus tab and then shrink wrapping them back on. That is really awesome. I like doing that too, because I don't know if you know, but I think Harris introduced me to these things, or maybe it was Jedi Arms Dealer. I know you sent me some wrap that we put on like Brad's batteries for his lightsaber that was gold or was silver. But I think Harris told me about, or someone told me about, that there's these wraps that, I mean, you could get a wrap. I think Harris was showing me that like a wrap for a 18650, you could put the Superman symbol on it. Like they have these wraps with the the Batman symbol, Star Wars on it, gold, different colors. So I want to get those too, because like the ones I have here that I bought years ago for shrink wrapping batteries, they're plain old like blue or green, or they don't really work really well for inside of a lightsaber. I think we want something that looks like metal, or looks like the diatom cell, like a copper, something that, or one of these ones with a cool design on it. Maybe like if something looked like a finned piece from inside a lightsaber, I think that would be awesome. I'm gonna power this up and see what's going on here.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if this fixes it.
Yeah, I know. So we didn't really have any trouble with font number 1 before. That's what's going to start out as. Let's see.
Oh, cool.
No trouble with this before. Doesn't seem like it yet. Oh, Fed, I love that, dude. Oh my god.
Oh wow.
That lockup you have on I know you have different types of lockups. Like the one that rides up and down the blade, I think I have on a few of the later fonts. Oh man, it's awesome.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Force lightning.
Well, not only the force lightning, but the one that he has that it's like you lean in and it goes.
Oh yeah.
And you
come responsive, back. Yeah, the responsive. Yeah.
I think we had issue with Darth Maul before, and certainly when we get to Emperor, we'll be able to tell, I think, if we fix this. Darth Maul. Again, I love the way that Darth Maul sounds like two sabers. That's what's going to be crazy, Jedi Arms Dealer, when we do our... I just talked to Iman today, who's the owner of that Darth Maul saber from Orbital Machining, that we were going to do a chassis inside that looks like a Obi-Wan chassis with this font in it, with the Darth Maul font and 2 hilts. It's just going to be, insane. I think it's going to be
ridiculous.
Insane.
I think go ahead.
Just trying Darth Maul again. That was good. I think that's a great sign. Canon Jarrett. I don't think we heard this one before, but let's try it. I think this was a problem one earlier too, where I had some issues with this one. Oh, nice. that was good, because before, this particular burn-in blade style it was causing an issue before, where it was like, when that burn-in happened, did you know it wouldn't even complete the burn-in?
Yeah.
Anyone have an idea why? Like, that was weird. It was like just now when it turned from like yellow to red to green or whatever, it ended up on green. Earlier, when I was having this issue, before I even called you, Jedi Arms Dealer, to ask for help, it wasn't doing the burn totally. It wasn't finishing it. It was like staying red. I was like, I thought I made that blade green. Now it's working properly. That's odd. That's odd. Maybe it was along the lines of all these power things that we had to dance around and play with. Tom Welter says, SpaceWIndu, if you want to test it for sure, maybe try entering color change and setting it to white or another high power color mix. Okay. I haven't gone into color change yet. These guys can probably show me how to do it. I haven't tried that yet in person. I think I've only watched it on Fett's videos.
You can't get to white with color change, unfortunately. White and black are actually inside of it, but you can get the yellows. A bright yellow is probably as max power you're going to get. Yeah, I would say keep going until the fonts you have issues with, see how they run. And then you're going to want to up the ante and beat up on it and maybe grab like a white blade and just throw it at it.
Okay. Dooku, I think we had an issue here before. Mark says, the burn style's weird. Reminds me of a hacksmith proto saber. Yeah, and Mark, anything you see here, we can change. Like, none of those settings are gonna set us back as far as, if we made progress here, we're not going to go back if you want something changed. That's outside the problem, so it's not an issue. If you see anything you want changed, you let me know. Ooh, Count Dooku. I like the way this sounds a lot. Wow, so far so good. This is going really, really well. Okay, let's knock on some wood here. Okay, the Ray font. Now we're going to have a gold blade on this one. I don't know if you guys will be able to tell, but Mundo could tell the last time we did a show together. I was showing Mundo that this lights up kind of green at the bottom, and it becomes gold as per that. I'll put that website that Fett has in the description after I'm done here with the video, so you guys can get there really easily. I'll also put the link in a second here. But that's where I got all these blade styles. So Fett263 right here has all these blade styles available. Anybody that's watching that has the Proffieboard, all you got to do is like go there. You can actually play with the stuff and see it on the style editor that Fernando or that Frederick has, that Fernando linked to. And you see in real time, or in a little preview of like what it's going to look like in your blade. Now, when we did it, we didn't really see what it was really going to look like because we're using a photonic blade, and there's no way to really tell that program to say, hey, we're using a photonic blade. It doesn't know that. So it was showing us like, let's say, a blue blade or whatever. Whereas right now we're seeing green only because we have a photonic blade. So that's just the case. Or in this case, yellow. It's going to show up yellow. Yellow works through the photonic, so that's why, and it actually makes a really nice gold. So check out this Ray gold. Just see. Let's see if you guys can see that green flash that Fett put in here. It's actually a green and blue flash, but the photon, it's only
right out there by the emitter. Green. It's right there by the emitter. If you look just.
Yeah, the window
it's like very quickly.
Yeah, I think it's, what is it? It's probably 6,000 milliseconds or something. It's a really quick blue, green, yellow. Yeah.
Let me see if I made my screen so you guys can tell. Try to see like a green at the start. So this is like what happens at the end of Rise of Skywalker is Rey turns on her gold saber for the first time, but for an instant, it's blue or it's green. And Fett built that into this font. All you got to do is just kind of, or this blade style, all you got to do is attach it to your config, and you'll get this similar effect. I don't know. I can't
It
tell.
was really quick. Yeah, it's easier to see in
Yeah.
person. I find. Yeah.
Yeah. And like the way
It's
this,
exactly right there, right
yeah,
at the
like I
very
know Mundo
tip of the
could
emitter.
tell. And oh, you know what was helpful last time too is like these windows. You could see the blade earlier, because the problem with this blade too is it actually sinks about 3 inches deep into the hilt, which probably kind of cancels out to our eye some of this goodness that you have here. But
Yeah, you can expand the size of that, and it'll make it.
But it's really
That's
neat.
nice.
Does it do it on retraction too? The movie probably
No.
didn't show a retraction at all.
Yeah, we didn't see a retract. I didn't put it on there, but you could add it. It would be hard.
Really neat. All right, so I think the next one is the one that I had the issue with earlier. It's the Emperor, where I have like a blue leading edge going up on one of the blade settings that you have, and that was somehow causing me issues before. Let's see. Ooh, very nice. Yeah, we have almost a, I think we designated this red-orange as far as the blade, and it's cycling through something. I forget which style this is, but in person, it's a really cool effect that it definitely looks like that tomato red, a little orangey red of a color. Okay, wow. Can you tell that there's a green flash? Green, oh, you know what? It's cool. It's like it's green in the blaster bolt, but then it dissipates to yellow, and it dissipates back to the main blade color, the orangey red. See, this was a problem too before. This was a problem, so this is really good.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
It's going. It's working. It's working.
Our very own Kitster.
I love it.
I know that was actually Anakin saying that, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Ben Solo. This is a beautiful green, and this was working nicely before too. This is like the only font that was working really nicely before, but this green is just, I guess because of the photon. I think we programmed this to be like green LEDs. So the green coming through the green photon is just like laser green, you know, like one of them 5 mile lasers.
Oof.
Oh yeah.
And it's
That
just
is
ultimate.
That is.
It's like
the
watching
ultimate green.
Yeah.
It's so
The
funny to
ultimate
watch your
green.
face out.
I know, like my whole face looks like a ghoul. Yeah. It's like revealing my true nature. You know, this is like a scanner says I'm a demon or something. Ooh, retraction was well off too, because I think I had an issue on retraction sometimes with that one, but for the most part, it was good. Second Sister. This one's going to come out to be like a weird, I think it was a Death Star that he chose for this one, that Mark chose. One of these pulsing.
The red Death Star. Love that font. And that blade effect. Oh, yeah.
That's a
Oh,
nice
that's
one.
an intense
Chills.
situation here, this pulse.
Oof.
Oh, yeah, that's something else that's coming out crazy. So.
I'm curious, Space. Can you feel the vibe motor doing different things now?
That's a good question. Okay, so I feel it when it's on still.
Hold down lockup and you should feel it fluctuate.
Yeah, what you dropped an audio flicker on the lockup for the motor, because that'll give you that extra vibration probably.
Well, it's just reacting off of white. I think.
I can't tell if it's like more intense with that or not.
Okay. Well, it should be more of like the motor stuttering on lockup versus constantly spinning with just a hum.
Maybe it is doing that. No, I don't know. I don't know that it is. I don't know that it is.
Yeah, you got 2 speakers in there, so you're getting vibrations all over the place.
Yeah, I think maybe it's giving me some overall feedback, especially since that there's it's like one up top, one on the bottom.
It seems like the clash threshold's dialed in right, though. You're not getting any false stuff.
Yeah, it seems really, really nice now. This will be nice. I'll make a video later of like me standing there, swinging it. All goes well. This is another great green. Oh, you know what? I had when I had Gabe over, he tried this one, and I said, it's not really working perfectly right now, but when it ended up working okay when he was there. This is one of the ones that Fernando has. It's like it changes when you swing the blade. When you swing the lightsaber, the blade intensifies in color. So with this one here, we have it intensifying. Now, I don't know if it's trying to do white underneath, but what I'm seeing is like a yellow. So it goes from green, because of the photon, to where it becomes brighter as we swing. And that's something that's, on my personal, like when I go to build my own, I think every one of mine is going to be like this, where it's like you swing it and it gets brighter. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want it to get brighter on the swing? Of course. That should be default.
Yeah, nice work, Fernando.
Thanks. Yeah, there's a lot of swing effects. So I've there's just so much possibility.
Yeah, for real.
That's the key words, possibilities.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
endless possibilities.
There was one recent one. I think you talked about it last time. I think the last time we did a show together, you had just released this one, or maybe you released it right after, where it was it's you swing the lightsaber and it's almost like a pendulum is involved, where the harder you swing, the more that beam goes out.
Yeah, the inertia spark. Yeah, it moves up the blade based on the speed. Yeah,
that was an interesting video to see that.
That was really cool.
I was like, that looks like it's almost like you could make games out of the lightsaber now. So like kid games, almost like a yo-yo, right? Like, a kid would play with a yo-yo. You don't need that anymore. You have this, and you can have multiple games, like almost like at the start of when the cell phones became more digital instead of analog, and they had the games like Snake, and you could play it on your Nokia. It was like rudimentary. But there was games, and I could see that happening on here, where we could almost play tic-tac-toe together or something, on just because we're playing with with the effects here.
Or Simon says with your lightsaber, and it like different sections light up the more you repeat the sequence.
Yeah, like you have to match whatever that happened, right? You have to match those effects or that sequence. Oh, this is that water one that you made up.
Smoke blade.
Aqua Force.
This is a font that Jedi Arms Dealer made. Let me see if I get it close to it. And we have it's almost like that Second Sister one from before, but it's a little different.
Well, that's a good compliment. I love Second Sister.
It looks like the rolling pulse, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
That looks pretty wicked. Oh wow, it's magical. You want that one, right? That's a cool sound.
That is.
So the blasters on this are very intense. Oops. I might have put it in mute. Oh no, something happened. Looks like it went into battery mode or something. Did we revert back to font number 1?
Yeah. Rebooted the board completely.
Darth Maul. I am Canon Jarrus. Jedi Knight.
There was one I don't think we heard yet, too. So let's get to that one.
Ben Solo. Second Sister.
This one we hadn't heard, I don't think. Oh, no, we heard that one.
Vengeance.
This one we hadn't done, I don't think. Oh yeah, this is more like this might have been a blue in there that's reacting because this is pretty bright. So I'm thinking maybe this is like a cyan in there for Vengeance. That's coming out like this yellowy green.
Looks great.
Oh yeah, that's an intense lockup where it was like dancing with a bunch of different colors. It looked like red was in there and some other ones.
Multifaceted.
And this is that last font again, bonus font. Oh, that was the movement sound that I really liked. That like it was like a
$6 million man.
Really, really cool.
Going for underwater.
That's great.
Yeah,
Kit
sounds
Fisto
good.
action.
I love the way that one goes off. Check out the way the blade goes off here. I'm going to turn it off now. Like fire, it kind of goes off.
Oh, it went the opposite direction. That almost makes sense underwater.
It did. Very cool. All right. I think, there was a little hiccup there. I wonder if it was because the buttons, I was fiddling with the buttons when it did that. And I wonder if it's because I haven't secured the button pad down yet after that repair that I did a couple of days ago.
Maybe it was a weird double tap type of thing.
Weird. Oh, font directory not found on that I just got because I think that the name didn't match the battery level thing that I had. I didn't change the name.
TNT Saber?
Yeah.
It's like I didn't because JAD, do you remember we called that Vengeance as well, and I forgot to change that in the thing here.
There's a way to make it. I can't remember what it was. As if it's just no sound. I thought I saw one time where it doesn't look for anything.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
I can't remember though. Do you know, Fernando?
No. Somebody had made like a blank sound font where there was just no sounds.
Yeah.
Because you have to have a font directory. I think if you have a font directory, but it's because it's looking for the files. I think it needs because there's minimum files that have to be there. I'd have to look back actually.
Well, I started having fun with it when I did the Emperor Saber, and I actually made a separate font folder and put one sound in it. And it was when you go to the blade level indicator, it's Sidious saying, unlimited power.
Yeah, I think that was the only little hiccup I had, and I just changed it in the configure in the what do you call it? Configurator, whatever.
Configurator.
Arduino.
Oh, Arduino, yeah.
Like the Arduino, whatever that's called, Arduino program.
Yeah, your config.
All right, so Jake Soft is here. What's going on, buddy? Hi, Space. Hi, JAD. Sorry, I'm late. No worries at all. No worries
Jake
at all.
Soft.
We actually got through the issues that we were working with. I'm so happy right now. That was like I felt insurmountable before I started talking to you guys earlier. Really felt like I was like, I don't know if this is going to happen tonight. Because we haven't had the 100% success mark in the previous shows. There was always something to go back and do, and now I think we did it. Mark, thank you. Thanks for coming in here tonight. Have a good night. And I think we just cracked it. So this Saber is going to be getting to you as soon as I find no issues. I'm going to ship this out. We thought it was going to be May 20th. And instead, it's going to probably be like something like August 5th. So we'll see. try to do it that way. But
thanks, COVID.
And actually, you know what I want to do, Mark? If you're still here, I'm going to make you a little blade plug too. That's Photonic, little Photonic blade plug. So I'm actually just in the process of sanding that right now because the blade tubing doesn't slide into your emitter easily. So I'm just going to sand down a little bit of photon tube and put a little SpaceWIndu blade plug chip in there. So you've got like a blade plug that acts like you don't have to have the blade in it all the time if you want a little light. But yeah, have a good night. Have a good night, Mark. See what Hexx says. I still use the original Crystal Focus sound font to show off the sabers to friends. The mechanical ticks and everything are awesome. Yeah, I really like that one too. Like whenever I have a saber with like a crystal chamber or something like that, I always try to add that. I think that's a nice one to have.
Yeah, guys, I'll show you the saber that I'm working on right now. If Space, you don't mind.
Cool.
Nice.
Oh, here, let me see.
Looks a lot like who's that character from the EU? Is it Kyle Katarn? No, I think maybe like one of Kyle Katarn's sabers from the comic books. This looks awesome.
MHS?
Yeah. Yes, MHS. All from
Nice.
the custom. All from the custom saber shop.
You had them powder coat that for you, those parts? Or
Yes.
you did it?
No, they did it.
What's that, black chrome?
Yep.
There you
Wow.
go. We just
It's
talked
like
about that earlier.
It's
Nice.
it's kind of like a smoky black.
That looks great.
Love the way that looks. Yeah.
Looks like
And
you
I've
got
got
some brood in there.
Yeah, I've got another piece that goes on here. It goes up here, and that piece, kind of like a little shroud from Shapeways. And I actually went to a Comic-Con, and I told Ray Park about the story about this build right here, and he was gracious enough to sign that part for me.
Oh, that's awesome, bro.
So,
That's incredible. Looking awesome. Is this for your friend, or this is the one that's for you later?
Well, this is for me, but it's his memory saber.
I see.
It'll have it when I first boot it up. It'll have his voice in it, and so when I turn it on, you'll hear his voice go, "¿Qué pasa, mama?" So,
That's so
it's
cool.
a little, he
That's
always
awesome.
answered his phone every time I called him. That's what he said to me, and so I got his voice from my voicemail and integrated it into the boot sound, and that's what's going to happen. And since he lit up everybody's lives, and again, Fett, thank you. I'll be utilizing some of those to enhance this build, and
Awesome.
it'll make it out of this world. It'll make it out of this world.
Great.
Yeah, well done.
I think that is going to be
Appreciate it,
sick. I
guys.
think the Proffie is going to be really, really good in there. It's going to do everything you want, and as long as you keep access to the board, you'll be able to just change it anytime you want. Like the way I used to make sabers is they kind of were, early on they're like sealed in place, like everything was kind of jammed in there. But nowadays we need access to the board, and so you can get all the newest effects when Fett lays them out, and when you see something really cool and you're able to just put that on your saber, even if the board is a couple years old, I find that incredible. I think that's so cool.
Oh yeah.
For sure. I mean, every time you put something new on there, it's going to be a brand new saber.
Yeah.
And so that's what's going to make it so stellar.
And the cool thing is too, with the removable Neopixel blade, it's like if someone like KR Sabers comes out with his blade, like he just shipped to Fett and to myself, your saber that you build today will still work. Will be able to run all these, like for instance, this KR Saber's blade is supposed to be more dense, LEDs tighter together, probably brighter, is using the 50/50 LEDs. They're the better 50/50s. They are, anything you could say good about it. It's got all the good features. So that's just going to be like a plug and play to whatever you're building right now, right? If you in 2 years get one or something new comes out, a Neopixel new strip comes out, your same Profi, your same connection system is going to be able to run that. I think that's really, really, really sweet.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Rich Sangilla says, will you be posting the config? Yeah, I will do that. Tell me where you want me to post it. I can post it on FX Sabers. I can post it on the Rebel Armory. Maybe I'll post it on both of those. Any of you guys wants to grab it and like put it on Facebook or something like that, I don't know. But yeah, I'll put it in the open source thread on FX tonight. And also, I don't know what thread I'll put it in on TRA, but I'll put it on TRA. It's called Mark Final 2. And then when you guys get it, when you guys get this text file, if you want to use the same one as me, you might want to change the name of that and just make sure your Arduino program is configured over to whatever name you select, and that the folders on the desktop and all these little rules that I kind of learned over the past several weeks, that it has to work via certain ways. That folder's got to be on the desktop that says Profi OS, and your config file has to be in the config folder in that folder, and then you should be good. So yeah, I will post that tech stuff. And you guys have anything that you want to say before we kind of wrap it up? I think I'm super happy because I've fixed all my problems. You guys are so awesome for helping me through this again. Incredible that I didn't know I'd reach 100% on the meter.
I just want to say, go ahead, Fernando.
Oh no, I was just saying I'm glad it worked. So you guys, you guys solved it before I stepped in, so I was more commentary.
Well, Fernando, I was thinking I wanted to have a show tonight where we chilled, we sat back in a chair, and maybe we had a drink or something. In a way, it was better than that for me because we accomplished all this. But at some point, I do want to have a show where we sit back and we have a drink, and there's no work to do.
Nah, this
is hopefully by then I'll finish mine. Hopefully I'll get mine working.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that when you go to post that up on open source or other places, Space, that config file is only good for the 1.5. They'll have to regenerate another one for the 2.2.
They can take your styles, though.
Yeah, true.
That's what most people are going to want. They can use your styles.
Right.
Yeah, because it's like
the Rumble motor code in your codes. Yeah.
Yeah, like the whole entire thing is only going to kind of work if your setup is also exactly the same as mine. Like we had set it up specifically for that second blade style on every font. We had set it up with the Rumble motor. You had kind of configured that clash threshold for my specific needs, and so things like that will change. But yeah, like Fett said, if they're just grabbing the styles off of it, then I'm thinking it should be perfect.
Yeah, a lot of the users that they're probably just gonna want the styles that you have to replicate what they're seeing, and they can just take those style codes in. So posting the config is fine, but yeah, they're not gonna want the top or the bottom of your config because that's specific to your Saber. But everything in the presets, they can take what they need out of it.
I see. Yeah, I'm learning about this stuff all the time. It's wild. That's really, really cool to get from. It really feels good to start to understand.
I got a surprise for Space.
You do?
I do.
More of a surprise than a working Saber for Mark? How could it be?
It's alive.
Wow. Take a close look at this, you guys. If Daria is watching, this is your lightsaber. Daria, this is your lightsaber. This is the crystal core out of a Sabercraft big boy that Jedi Arms Dealer has created from zero, in referencing the plastic Delrin chassis that Sabercraft gives with the Saber. Jedi Arms Dealer created this instead. So this is going to go in instead of that. And look at this. It's got a magnetic connection system with a 6-point disc, 6 pads.
This is a magnet.
On that disc, there's a ring magnet.
Big magnet.
It actually holds.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it actually holds this chamber
Thanks,
in no problem. That magnet pulls the chamber in.
And then two 28 millimeter bass speakers.
Boom.
Inside of this.
Wow.
And then this the remote control. So this is working independently with its own lithium, and it uses this right here outside of the Saber. I got it upside down. And so you can use the remote control to change red, green,
Nice.
blue.
Cool.
So when it's detached from the Saber, it runs off of its own miniature lithium inside the crystal chamber. But then when you reattach it to the Saber charges the miniature lithium on the inside.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow.
So this was fun and hurt my head, but there it is, Space. I buttoned it up.
You had to
today.
break the galaxy.
Very nice. Very nice.
It's been a journey, a fun one.
I had to send Jedi Arms Dealer deep into the unknown region.
Wow. He definitely went to the outer rim.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of aliens he had to encounter to get them to make that.
He's testing me hard. I like it.
Yeah, it looks great.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
That was a journey.
Wow, that is something special for the end of the show. Thanks for showing that. I never saw it that operable Jedi Master Arms Dealer just completed that today or yesterday, I think, or not completed, but assembled.
Today is the crystal chamber part of it's done. I just put 3 set screws to stick the 2 halves together in today. But
Felicia Marie says, "Wow, yeah, that's an incredible
That
piece that you made."
amazing.
Thanks, guys.
Amazing.
I was lucky enough to see some of the pictures that he did while assembling it, and I'm telling you, some of those little parts look like the space shuttle. It looked like the space shuttle was going together. He had things packed in there, like you open up a panel on the space shuttle, and it's just like all this stuff back there. He had to get that to work. Like he said, he's got a mini lithium. He's got to have that be able to charge. He's got his own LEDs in there, its own connection system, magnets, and all this going into a Sabercraft Big Boy, which isn't very big inside. It's called the Big Boy, but it's not very big. It's a Skywalker lineage. It's got a thin neck. It's an incredible lightsaber. If you're not familiar with that lightsaber, go check it out. They also have a Sabercraft Flame coming out soon, which I think it might be sold out. People are waiting for them to arrive, but another incredibly out of this world design, the Flame.
Yeah, Sabercraft is on another planet as far as their machining goes on their hilts. It's pretty incredible. It's just wow. Those guys are
so many exciting things happening.
And fast too, faster than ever. All this lightsaber stuff. It's like you have a lot of people working on it at once. I think the community got really big when in 2015. The community got really big, and people like all across the world are doing different things, contributing. Fernando's making the blade styles. Different people are doing different things. Different people are making the sound fonts. You got people like KR and Cal trying to go forward with new blade ideas, and every aspect of lightsabers is just getting better and better all the time. So definitely,
by the time we'll have real one.
Don't sleep. Don't sleep. Saber the moment. There's stuff coming out all the time, and if you blink, you'll miss it. So stay tuned. Stay tuned to Jedi Arms Dealer. I'll put his link underneath the description in the video after we're finished here. Check out FET263 for all your Profi blade style stuff. Check out all the videos he's got. Check out the editor that he's got, which connects to all the videos, which connects to the Profi website and different things. You can check out Mundo on my comic book show every single Wednesday at 10 o'clock Eastern on Comic Book Creation Live. That's where we just draw comics, and Mundo entertains us a little bit on there.
Yeah. And
that's about it. I thank you guys for coming and joining me and helping me through this. This has been a lot of fun. I can't believe how much I learned on this. I can't believe it. It's it like opened up a whole new world when Jedi Arms Dealer sent me Fet's website. It's like one of the greatest gifts anyone could give someone that loves sabers. Just go to that website. I'll put it in the description afterwards and play around with all that stuff. Even if you don't have a Proffieboard, even if you're just thinking about getting into lightsabers, you can play with those blade styles in that configure editor and see how it works, and also watch the videos that FET has and see what it could do. That way, when you're ready to go forward and buy a custom lightsaber or build one, you're armed with all that information of you want this, therefore buy this. You want that, therefore buy that. Or these things do all of the above, and you could choose, you know, whatever the situation is. But there's just a lot of stuff out there. It's better for you if you know a lot first, because if you go out and just reach up for an Ultra Sabers, you reach up for a Saber Forge, you got 300 here, 400 there, 300 there. Right there, you've got enough for lots of custom parts, you know, and stuff like that. So just, you know, learn about all the options. And if you do want to go for an Ultra Sabers or a Saber Forge or something like that, then go for it. But if you want to build your own, then look at the options, look at what you can do. And you know, normal people are doing this. You don't have to be an expert at anything. It's all learnable. There's videos, there's forums. Go to Facebook, go to FX Sabers, go to the Rebel Armory, and start digging, start seeing what's available out there. It's a lot of crazy stuff. A lot of crazy.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah, I've been playing with these like high-end lightsabers for like 10 years, and I'm still these guys are teaching me stuff all day long. You know, so awesome.
And likewise, Space. I've been watching your videos forever. You taught me a ton of stuff about string blades and everything else, man. So thank you.
Now, and thank you guys, Fett and Jedi Arms. I want to thank you guys so much. It's been an honor to speak with you guys, you know, for my future builds and, you know, future things. It's going to be, you know, great to accomplish some of these things. And without people like you, it wouldn't be possible, you know.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
That's the ultimate compliment, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. And I cannot leave without thanking Space as well. I mean, I bug him constantly sometimes with some questions.
Pleasure to talk to you. Pleasure to talk to you with anything you want to ask me. Anybody wants to ask me anything, you know, email me or send a message through YouTube or something like that. Give me a comment, and we'll definitely try to help you out or send you in the right direction. You know, usually you ask somebody, they might not be the expert, but when they're in the know, they know who to send you to, you know? So when I went to Jedi Arms Dealer, he goes, you know, FET 263, don't you? I was like, you know, I think I've heard that name. I think I subscribed to him. Oh, well, he's got all the answers as far as oh, okay. You know, so when you have a friend that knows where to go, that's just as good as having the answer, you know?
Absolutely.
So let me leave you guys with, if you haven't seen it yet, this is the trailer to my comic book that's coming out in October. I hope you guys like this little teaser, and we'll talk next time. Thanks again to everyone that was in the chat and watching this video afterwards, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, man.
Thanks.
Peace out.
The sun is gone. A voyage to a faraway world ends in tragedy. One last chance for survival is found on an unlikely planet. Genetic material brought back could change the future of our world. Albatross Junction.